Hey everybody, this is Derek for the Grumpy Guy Show, talking about episode number 95, Raising the Roof by 40,000, recorded on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023. Tonight's topics: 40,000 new jobs, you're free to decline, and the raising of the debt ceiling. Stick around, it's a pretty good episode. Good evening everybody, welcome to the Grumpy Guy Show. I'm Derek McAllister.
And I'm Ryan McAllister.
So welcome to Season 3. You'll notice that we didn't have our year-end episode, and frankly, it's because I forgot.
Also, we're approaching episode 100.
Yes, so perhaps what we'll do instead is do something special for episode 100. It's just been very tough this year with everything going on personally to kind of try and plan things out. So we're gonna leave it for now, and we'll see what happens shortly. About 5 weeks or so before we hit episode number 100. So yeah, maybe we'll do something for that. It all depends. Still a lot going on this summer, but at any rate, so let's dive right in.
Let's jump in.
Yes, jump in. It's another week where just a lot going on. So who knows how long the episode's going to be?
It's going to be a short episode.
Yeah. Well, it might be, it might not. If it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. Who cares? At least we're doing one. I wasn't so sure we were going to do one this week, but yeah. We'll see what happens. So episode number 1. Episode. Wow. All right. Topic number 1. How's that?
Episode number 1.
Yeah, so I believe we spoke last week about the fact that one of the local channels is out in Boise for Micron's headquarters, and showing what's coming to Clay, blah blah blah, bullcrap.
No, what's coming to Syracuse?
Yeah. Coming to Syracuse, except it's outside of Syracuse. But at any rate, we'll let that slide. So they were talking to some other executive, apparently the person who's in charge of growth within the United States, and he was yammering on, all the look at us, we're so great, we're so good. Did I lose you? Oh, your screen froze up for a second.
Yeah, yours froze up for a sec.
No, I was still going. I don't know. But anyhow, so the guy was yammering on for a while about how great it is and everything. And then he said, once you get done with everything, you add in the gas stations that are going to come in and all the houses that are going to come in, and it's going to create 40,000 jobs. Wait a minute. How is this going to create 40,000 jobs? First and foremost, most of the jobs that are going to be created are construction jobs, which are temporary. Because as soon as all of the construction's done, whether you're talking about roads or you're talking about their facility or you're talking about houses, as soon as that's done, those jobs are done. But second, when it comes to all of these construction jobs, most of them are going to come from outside of the state or outside of the Syracuse area. How is that creating new jobs? It's not. And we're going to create all kinds of jobs with gas stations. Really? Because, by 2035, New York won't be selling any more gasoline-powered vehicles. So we're going to build all kinds of gas stations just for them to shut down in 15 years? That's brilliant. How many companies are actually going to go through and do that? 0. But then again, let's say that it does create 40,000 jobs. How many of these jobs are going to actually be high-paying and jobs that somebody is actually going to want? Not many. Especially when you consider when they were taking the news reporter through the clean room there, they were showing how no human hands touch anything. Everything is done with robotics.
How's that supposed to create jobs then?
Bingo! Because guess what? Robots only need to be programmed. Which means, once the program's written, occasionally you'll have some updates. Occasionally. And, of course, you're going to have some routine maintenance done on the robots. Okay.
But that's about it.
Yeah. So, in this plant that's supposedly going to create 40,000 jobs, we're going to create probably about 20, 30. Let's go wild. Let's say we create 1,000 high-paying jobs that people might actually want to keep. Wow. They make it out like it's some huge special thing, and it's all forecasting. It's so bogus with their claims. They have nothing to back it up whatsoever. Are we going to put more restaurants in the area? No. And if we do, it's not going to be local mom and pop shops. No, it's going to be the chains.
The big national chains.
Yeah. So we're going to get a couple of more
Not
Dunkin'
even local
Donuts.
chains,
Yeah.
really.
We're going to get a couple of more Dunkin' Donuts, and we're going to get a couple of more Starbucks. Okay. Wow. That's
Probably
really
not
impressive.
any more McDonald's because those things are everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you might get a few of those here and there, but you're not going to get any kind of sit-down restaurants built in the area. It's just not going to happen. I mean, right down, not even 5 miles away from where they're building this, is the former Great Northern Mall, which, poor management and horrible planning by the town of Clay have killed off the mall. I mean, it's literally closed. There's supposedly some kind of deal that's being worked out for selling it and whatever, but this person who wants to buy it wants the previous owner to do all kind of maintenance on it, and the previous owner just can't do it because they owe so much in back taxes. They owe something like $10 million in back taxes. Why are they going to spend the money to fix the road so that you can buy it? The ring road. It's the road that goes around it. He's not going to fix that. What's he going to say? He's going to say, well, pretty simple. If you don't buy it from me, I'm just going to let them take it for taxes. I don't care. So nothing's happening. And there you are. You're frozen up again. Oh my, we really got to do something about your laptop. Yeah, I have to take the memory out of your brother's that I took from you.
I haven't gotten any updates for it recently.
Yeah.
They haven't notified me about any.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to find a different version of Linux for you. But we shall see what happens. But yeah, anyhow. So, we're going to create 40,000 jobs with a product that's not touched by human hands. Yeah.
Yeah, sure you are.
Yeah, what's really going to happen, we're going to create 5,000 jobs.
Temporary jobs.
Well, no, we'll create 5,000 permanent jobs, but we'll create 5,000 temporary jobs. And of those 5,000 permanent jobs, there's only going to be about 4,000 or 1,000 of them or so that people actually want. It's really pathetic, Mm-hmm. I mean, but this is what politicians do all the time, and basically what this executive at Micron is he's being a politician. Why? Well, because Micron's getting something out of this. I mean, yes, they're investing $100 billion, but everything's going to cost more than $100 billion. basically what this really truly comes down to is the state of New York, the county of Onondaga County, and the town of Clay all combined to offer them some kind of sweet deal to make it worth their while to do this. It's going to cost more than $100 billion to build this plant. That's all there is to it. But whatever. Whatever, dude.
Whatever, dude.
So, yeah, at any rate, I started talking about Great Northern Mall and how that's pretty much collapsed and everything. And there's a couple of chain restaurants down there, but there's a few others that struggle, and there's a couple of them that closed. They're not going to build any more, just because this plant's coming in. If anything, what's going to happen is you're going to get sandwich shops. There'll be a little strip mall put in next to it, and you'll get Subway in there or something like that.
Mm-hmm. But there's already Subway over by Great Northern.
Yeah, but...
It's across the street.
Yeah, but Subway's another one where they'll saturate the market. If they think that another sub shop would build next to this place, they're going to put another Subway right next to this place as quickly as they can. If it means the one over next to Great Northern closes, oh well, they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they prevent any other sub shop from getting into, from getting into the area, basically. But, you go the other direction from Great Northern Mall and you're in the Cicero area, and, there's all kinds of chains down there as well. I mean, there's McDonald's, there's Arby's, there's Wendy's not far from there. Chick-fil-A is in both places, Great Northern and Cicero. Chipotle's in both places. I mean, about the only thing you don't have in both places is Five Guys. And
Burger King is over by Great Northern.
Well, there's one out in Cicero as well. Five Guys and Wendy's are about the only ones that aren't in both places.
Mm-hmm.
So how many burger joints can you put in the area?
All of them.
Yeah, it's... So I don't see any kind of big boom, especially in high paying jobs that people really truly want to keep as a career.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have some janitorial staff and some maintenance, but they're career type of positions, yes, but they're not real high paying jobs. And that's the problem. And more than likely, that's part of the reason that Micron decided to come here, because they can get away with it low cost, If they can go here and spend $100 billion and then pay people squat because there's people in the area are desperate for jobs, versus going someplace else and pay $75 billion and have to pay a ton of money to compete with other people in the area. It's a no-brainer. They're going to go where they can save money. Even though it'll probably, you look at it, probably only be saving money over the course of 20 years, but still, by the time 20 years comes around, they can convince the politicians to give them some other kind of freaking deal. But, yeah, well.
But hey, what do we know?
Yeah. So what do you say we move on to our next topic?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's jump into it.
Yes. Jump into it. So, I don't often complain about work, but kind of have to today.
Oh?
Yeah. So, recently, they hold these all hands meetings. Basically, it's an executive, just kind of opening things up. They pass news out directly to you, and they answer some questions and everything. And somebody asked, I'm just swamped with meetings. I can't get my job done because of all the meetings I'm being included in. And the executive's response was, well, you have the option to decline meetings if necessary.
Really?
Okay. If you don't feel that it's relevant to you, or you just can't because you've got another meeting that's more relevant or more important, then decline it. So, hey, I'm like, that's great. So there was a meeting that I was, that I was included in today, and I was looking at the agenda, and I didn't see anything that was relevant to me at all. So I declined it. Well, lo and behold, somebody, the person who started the meeting, or, sent the invite or whatever, sent a message to not my boss, my boss's boss, and saying that, well, he declined and I haven't heard from this person, and, should we have this? And then my boss says, do you have a conflict? Why aren't you going to this? I'm like, there's nothing there for me. Well, did you ask? I'm like, I can see the agenda. What the? So basically what it is the executives are saying, oh yeah, go ahead, decline meetings, except when we think it's important for you to be there. And it's like, how can we do this? First you tell us, oh yeah, you got to have a work-life balance. But then, it's only a work-life balance for you. I get, okay, all right.
Okay.
You're out on the golf course pretending that you're working. Oh, I'm working a deal here. No, you're not. You're playing a game of golf. The deal's already done. You're just playing a game of golf. And then they don't have to accept any meeting invites. No. And they said, then, hey, you don't have to. If you can't make it, you go ahead and you decline it. Except when somebody complains to us because you declined it. Come on. Maybe these executives are just getting paid too much to play golf. Maybe they should actually listen to what people are saying.
I mean, isn't that obvious, though? Executives already get paid too much.
Yeah.
And they don't do anything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say they don't do anything. I'm just saying they're so out of touch with what's really, truly going on that 90% of them don't know what the hell they're deciding, the decisions they're making are doing. And it's so annoying. But, I don't know. One of these times, I'm going to actually record these executives with their statement. And when I'm told that I either have to stay late because I'm paid to do a job, you're not paid hourly, you're paid to do a job. When I'm told I have to stay late, I'm going to play that back where it says, oh, work-life balance is important. Play it back for him.
Only for me and not for thee.
Yeah, pretty much, but I don't know. I mean, something's got to give, and the sad thing is it's not nearly as bad for me as it is for other people. I mean, I do my job. I work hard. I get my job done. And there's other people, like a colleague of mine. She worked, she claims she only worked one day over this long weekend. I highly doubt it because she generally works every single day of the week. And, I keep telling her, I'm like, you're going to burn out. You got to stop.
Yeah.
But then she says...
She is going to burn out if she's working every day.
Well, then she says, but that's the only way I can get the work done. I'm like, well...
Then that's an easy way to get burnt out.
I told her, I said, maybe what needs to happen is you don't get the work done. But I don't know. I mean, the problem is it's just become so expected here, especially here in the United States. You're expected to pretty much work yourself to death so that you work your way up the corporate ladder, blah, blah, blah. it's not about.
I mean,
it's not about
in
how
the United
well you
States,
do the
it's
work.
not nearly as bad as Japan. People in Japan literally have worked themselves to death.
Yeah. But the
But
thing is,
that's one of the worst things about working in the United States is hustle culture. I mean, you gotta have one job, and then you gotta have a side hustle, and you gotta do this, and you gotta do that, and all that crap.
And
You gotta always be on the grind.
my biggest problem is the fact that it's not about the quality of the work that you do. It's about the quality of the ass kissing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad. It's why the Peter Principle exists. And in case you don't know what that is, that's a principle stating that you get promoted to the level of your incompetence. And then what happens from there? Well, then you get fired. And then what happens? Well, you go and you get another job, and you say, well, I was a vice president, so I have to be a vice president. So some other company gives you a job as a vice president, and then you get promoted to a senior vice president. And what happens? Well, you're promoted well beyond your capabilities, so you get fired. This happens all over the United States, and it's because people.
Then you get hired
ass
by
kissers.
another company, and then you say, "Oh, I was senior vice president," so they gotta put you in senior vice president role.
Well, at some point, they finally, companies finally start to realize that it's.
Then you get some of the most incompetent CEOs of all time.
Yeah. And I don't know.
I don't think we're there yet, but we're gonna be there if we keep doing it like that.
You'd be surprised how close we are to it. I mean, look at Elon Musk.
Well, that's because he was already rich.
Yeah, and that's it. He was rich. He opened his mouth, thinking that Twitter was being run poorly, and it wasn't.
He got that only because he came from a rich background. He's probably never really worked a day in his life.
No, he hasn't. He got lucky.
Same thing with, not to get political, but Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's the same way. He got his money from his father, a small loan of $1 million.
Yeah, I'm sure it was more than that.
He once said.
I'm sure it was more than that.
He's probably never worked a day in his life either.
No, he hasn't. And that's the thing. With him, it's the art of cover-up, basically. That's what's made him richer than what he was. It's the art of cover-up. He's covered up everything. And,
the Art of the Deal,
as
his book was titled.
Yeah. But the problem is he's not making a deal. He's covering things up. That's why he was so focused on not having to disclose his taxes. And it came out that the guy's poor. He just puts on a big front.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of politics, let's jump into our next topic. So our last topic, it's kind of mixed news. The debt ceiling. There has been an agreement.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yes, there's been an agreement made in principle between McCarthy and Biden. And basically,
did they raise it again?
Well, yeah, of course. But basically, it seems like it's gonna be raised and not be an issue until 2025 if it passes. And that's the whole thing,
And if it does, then they'll just raise the debt ceiling again.
Well, if it doesn't, then they'll just
2025.
Well, the whole thing is, 2020. This would only be good through 2025. This agreement, and then they'd have to raise it again after that. But if it doesn't pass right now, then we're likely going to default for the first time in our country's history. And if that happens, plan on some major troubles. The idea, it could cause a worldwide recession if that happens. And that's been the biggest reason that people, it kills me, because it's come out over and over again that it's not the actual president and the Speaker of the House sitting down getting together. No, it's their teams that are doing it. And people were like flipping out. Oh, Biden's over there visiting, whatever country it was. Japan, I think it was, for the G7 or whatever. He's over there instead of negotiating with this, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, but it doesn't matter. He's not actually doing the talking.
And neither is McCarthy.
No, neither of them were. Basically they put the terms out there that they wanted, and it just went back and forth. And in the end of the day, they came back, each team came back and said, here, this is what we came up with. And they finally said, okay. Part of the problem that I see with it, obviously I haven't read the full 99-page agreement, and nobody will, but, the basics that I see as a problem is, number one, we haven't raised taxes. They stated clearly that taxes were not raised on the rich. Doesn't say if it raised taxes on the poor or the middle class or anything along those lines. It's just the ultra rich are not getting a new tax.
Taxes are probably going to get a hike on the middle class and the poor, because, let's be fair, politicians hate the poor.
Well, the
Democrats like to pretend that they like the poor, but they don't.
The problem is, the money's got to come from somewhere. And that's what most people don't realize, is the money's got to come from somewhere. The fact that the Republicans push so hard to not raise taxes on the ultra rich kind of says, hey, guess what? We're ultra rich, and we'd be in that category, so we're not raising our taxes. And sooner or later, this is the kind of thing that I keep saying is going to put us into some kind of revolution. It just has to. There's no way we can continue this. The lower classes can't continue to support. We can't continue to support things like a president getting paid for the rest of his life just to do nothing. Once he's done being president, he's paid for the rest of his life. But not only is he paid for the rest of his life, he's got security detail for the rest of his life. He
doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Unless he's Jimmy Carter.
I mean, they all do something, but...
Who was out there building houses until he was like 95 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, they just don't want the attention anymore. You get people like Clinton, and he wanted attention, and...
George W. Bush didn't.
Yeah, George W. Bush was like, that's it, I'm done.
Because he knew how unpopular he was.
Yeah, I mean...
He saw his approval rating and said, get me out of public life.
I don't think that was all of it. I think, he had stated that, that he will transition to whoever is next, and that's it. Once that transition is done, I'm no longer president. Don't bother me. Don't ask me don't ask me about presidential decisions or anything like that, because I'm no longer president. You want to talk about that stuff? Go talk to the new president, because it's his job now.
Go talk to the current guy. Yeah. His problem. Go away.
And that's why he's stayed out of it. And
basically, he told Obama, tag you're it.
Yeah.
And then headed back to Texas.
Yep. But I don't know. The fact that he's still got security detail and everything, it kills me. I mean, this country just can't afford it. It's why a car costs so much. It's not that it costs a whole lot for all the parts and everything. No, what they're paying for are these pensions. You get somebody who, somebody I work with who's my age. He worked at New Venture Gear for quite a while, and he said that, well, if they didn't close, I could have retired this year and had full benefits. That's where the problem is. That's where the cost is coming from all these, for these cars. That's why the minimum price for a car right now is like $30,000. It's because these car companies, these car manufacturers have to pay for these pensions. You know? It's got nothing else to do with anything. It's just they've got to pay for these pensions. And, you know, when you're talking about politics, we're paying for pensions, folks. That's why we have to keep raising the debt ceiling, because you get these younger people like Obama. He was not very old when he went into office. He's going to be around for quite a while.
No, he wasn't even 50.
Yeah. He's likely going to be around for quite a while, and we're paying him every single year for the rest of his life. But not only are we paying him, we're also paying for security detail.
And he's got a movie production company now. He can make that money for himself.
Yeah. But that doesn't matter. You know,
Bill Clinton wasn't all that old when he entered office either. He wasn't 50 yet.
Yeah, and he's still alive.
He's still alive, and
as far as I know, he doesn't have any major health problems that they've been talking about, you know. But I said,
not anymore.
Like I said, this is the kind
of
stuff.
He had heart surgery about a few years after he left office.
Yeah. But this is the kind of stuff that's killing us with this debt. This is why the debt keeps going up and up and up. First off, we don't force the rich to pay their share of taxes. And they can say, "Oh, I put in as much as everybody else." No. Look at the percentage of your income and tell me that you put in as much as I do. You can't.
You can't.
Plain and simple. You know, once you get to like $500,000,
it's barely making a dent in their wallets.
Yeah. You know, you get to $500,000 a year in income or something along those lines, and your tax rate drops. You know, and it's, I'm paying my fair share. No, you're not paying your fair share. Your fair share would mean a flat tax rate for everybody in the country. That would be the fair share. You know, it's not supposed to be something
that you're paying a certain amount of money. It should be that you're paying a certain percent of your income.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. But that's why there's tiers, because, you know, the rich had to have their special treatment. And
they always do.
You know, the saddest thing in the world is if something happened where suddenly we had to go back to being self-sufficient, you know, where you had to plant your own crops or you had to fix your own stuff, the rich are going to be in trouble, because they're not going to be able to do a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know? They're not going to be able to fix their car. They're not going to be able to plant a plant. I'm not even talking about harvesting anything off a plant. They're not going to be able to plant a plant. You know?
They won't even be able to start their lawnmower.
Yeah. Most of them won't even know what a lawnmower is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they just pay somebody to do it. I pay a service to do that. Okay, well, you know, if that service can no longer afford to drive around to mow your lawn, guess what? You're doing it yourself. Figure it out, dude. But, all right, folks. I'm sure you heard that music starting up in the background.
Good night.
We'll see ya.